All right, gang, let's talk about how the FCC plays a role in managing EIRP. This is actually in Title 47, Part 15, Section 247. They have rules for effective isotropic radiated power. Now, we got to remember, how do we calculate EIRP? Remember, there was a specific standard, a specific definition for that, and it looks something like this. EIRP is the transmission power plus the antenna gain minus the cable loss. Okay, so the rule is that in the United States has a maximum value of 36 in a point-to-multipoint configuration, right? So I've got an access point here with its antenna, and it's radiating out to a bunch of clients, point-to-multipoint, lots of participants, in other words. So 36 is the maximum. So, and that's based upon a reference that says, all right, so we got 30 here, for example, as the transmitter, and then the antenna, the radiating antenna, has 6 dBi maximum. So again, if it's locally installed, that's 6. If that was coming off and there was a cable, well then maybe the antenna's over here and it's got a power of 8 with a cable loss of 2. Right, that's okay. 8 minus the 2, still 6. We're still okay, right? So however we want to manage that. So also we can reduce the transmit power below 30 by 1 and increase the maximum antenna and cable system by 1. So what does that look like? Well, let's say we reduce the transmitter power to, let's say it was only 20. Well, now we could use an antenna that actually had a power of, since it's a 1-to-1 ratio, right? As we reduce it by 1, we increase it by 1 on the other side. So this could be up to a power of 16 for the antenna, or the antenna minus the cable loss, as long as that total value is 16. Again, we stay within that magic 36. Now this is for point-to-multipoint. The FCC defines separate rules for a point-to-point configuration, right? So when I've got an access point connected specifically to another access point, they're going to each have their own antennas. Well, again, initially we see 36 decibels EIRP. So same values, same rules. 30 dB transmitter power, the 6 decibel gain of antenna. So far the same. FCC allows exceeding the 36 decibels EIRP in a point-to-point installation using a 3-to-1 ratio rule. Oh, they set up different rules. So as you reduce the transmit power below the maximum of 30, you can increase the antenna by 3. Ooh, okay, so let's remember, we started off with that reference maximum value of 36, 30 then for the transmit power, and 6 for the antenna, or for the sum of the antenna minus the cable loss, right? So let's say we reduce that to 20. We reduce it by 10, all right? So the transmit power is down to 20. Could I use a more powerful antenna and go beyond the 36? Yes, by a 3-to-1 ratio. So I reduced it by 10. I can increase the antenna gain by up to 30. So now that means that, again, we could have an increase of 30 plus the 6 that we already had that was there. So that's actually 36, 20. I can actually have an EIRP of 56 and be within compliance of government regulations. That's the key here, gang, is that we're staying within the regulatory boundaries. So here's a little recap table just to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like in the point-to-multipoint configuration. Again, we see the FCC maximums that are available. So we see, for example, here 30 dB for that and 6 dB for that. And again, the Cisco maximums that are defined, which end up to the same summation there, though notice that, again, through a little different configuration of how that's possible. And then the FCC maximum for a point-to-multipoint, again, 30 and 6. Cisco maximum 20 and 36. Again, that's what we were just looking at, with an EIRP of 56. Now, again, why does the Cisco change that property and that modulation? Again, for simplicity in working in both a point-to-multipoint and point-to-point system, and to work in different countries, they've established a system which stays within the norms. So notice, although they're not using 30 and 6, they meet the regulatory boundaries of the overall EIRP according to the standards that have been set out. So very cool the way that this has been configured. Again, it's rules and regs. It's okay. If I am working with the appropriate hardware and I've installed it correctly, then I will stay within the regulatory boundaries. This is also part of why it's important to ensure that you are following the rules of the country in which you live.